So in my power of process methodology, I use a lot of visual comparisons, whether you come to a workshop at my home and darkroom, or whether we do an online relationship like we're filming these videos for. But I use these visual comparisons, and this one I think is a very graphic example. What I'm showing here are the finest enlarging and contact printing papers that are available today. There's Ilford multi-contrast paper here, warm tone paper, there's Azo, which is silver chloride paper. The point being is they're all either black or white. What we respond to is in the midtones, and therefore everything that I'm doing with film and compression and development is all geared towards affecting maximum midtone contrast. That way I have the flexibility of printing away contrast if I want to. So I want to explain the process, and I think most of you folks will understand that we've found over the years that anything that happens with film and how that reacts, you can apply the exact opposite when you're dealing with the positive. In other words, with the film, what you see down here, you have to get that exposure properly done when the film's in the camera. The same in the darkroom. This is the exposure that is governed by, this tonality is what's governed by exposure. So these are exact opposites. So in my process, I put I put the shadows up on the straight line. So consequently, when you do that, many of the highlights go way out of sync with just a silver gelatin piece of paper. So I have to do this extreme compression, not always extreme, but compression development of some sort. What ends up happening is those highlight values get compressed the most, and the values that are in the midtones and in the lower part, they don't move quite as much on the straight line. When you apply the same methodology into the darkroom with a silver gelatin paper, the exact opposite happens. So when you combine a very flat negative and you combine a silver gelatin paper that you're going to use a lot of hard contrast in, you combine these two, guess what the benefactor is? It's the midtones. Everything gets exaggerated in the midtones. And if the exaggeration is too much, something that your aesthetic doesn't respond to, then you just apply more soft contrast light and less hard contrast light. That in itself is really my whole process. So essentially, to coin a phrase that's been popularized in the past few years, I'm essentially doing HDR with film, but it's all done organically. So there's no manipulation, there's no computer involved, there's no masking. It's all tonalities that have been compressed through exposure and development and then expanded in the silver gelatin printing part of the equation. And the midtones, I get midtone information on a piece of paper that very, very few other photographers can lay claim to. And I think that's why so many people respond to my prints the way they do.